Hello, and welcome to today's Safety Minute. We've all done it, right? We've all had that gut feeling where we see a hazard, our gut's literally telling us about it. We do a quick reactionary assessment and then choose to do nothing about it. Or perhaps you're at work and everything's going just great. The job's coming together as planned, and a coworker comes up and they point out a hazard. Perhaps it's a trip hazard. Maybe they have a concern with the lockout or tagout. Maybe the scenario changed and they want to review the hazard assessment. And you turn to them in frustration and say, "Just leave me alone. I know what I'm doing already." Or perhaps it's my all-time favorite example, where you're driving down the road with your friends or your family, people you care about, people you're supposed to want to hear what they have to say, people who put their lives into your hands. And they see something up ahead that concerns them. Maybe it's another driver who's driving a little bit erratically. Maybe it's a stop sign up ahead that they think you might have missed. Maybe they're just concerned with the speed you're doing and the road conditions. And they say something to you. And you turn to them and say, "Do you want to drive?" We've all had that "it can't happen to me" attitude, haven't we? What that attitude literally is saying is, hey, here's an uncontrolled hazard that I've seen, that my gut's told me about, or somebody else has. And I've chosen to leave it as an uncontrolled hazard. It's literally taking the dice, throwing them, and willingly playing the game of chance. The reality is, though, it can happen to you. And it already has. After all, who hasn't bumped their head or stubbed their toe? Who hasn't fallen down while walking or while riding a bike? Who hasn't had a cut or required stitches? Who hasn't had a burn? Who hasn't been in a car accident, brought to the emergency room, spent a night in the hospital? The reality is it happens to you so often that preventable injuries are among the top 5 reasons on why people are hospitalized. And we can't even walk without falling down. Yet for some reason, we think we can ignore the hazards at work, which is far more energy, and it's never going to catch up to us. And you'd think that a lifetime of bumps, bruises, breaks, scrapes, sprains, strains, stitches, burns would have taught us that not only can happen to us, but it's worth doing something about it from preventing it from happening again. And I get it. I've been there where safety does make me feel like it's bogging down my day. Especially when I'm at the beginning of my day and I have a whole list of things I have to get done. The last thing I want to do sometimes is spend 10 to 15 minutes reviewing the hazards when I know I can do that just effectively on the fly when my gut sees those hazards. And maybe I'll listen to my gut, maybe I won't. And I know what it's like to have safety slow me down. Especially when I'm about to cut a piece of lumber and I realize I left my glasses over where I was working. And it will take me 45 seconds to get those glasses, or 5 seconds to cut the lumber. And I take that chance and hope nothing flies into my eye. And I know what it's like to require help with safety. That normally occurs when I'm driving with my spouse. And she does say something about my driving. I've had to train myself, instead of saying, "Do you want to drive?" to saying thank you. Because I've come to realize that her and I, we have the exact same goal. And that's to get to our destination safely. And if slowing down means that I get to make her feel a little bit safer and spend a little bit more time with someone I love, I think that's a pretty good trade-off. And I know what it's like to feel weak or awkward because of safety. That normally happens when I'm about to mow the lawn, and it appears like I'm the only one on the block that wears their steel-toe boots and their eye protection and their hearing protection. But the reality is I've never felt more bogged down, slowed down, helpless, weak, or awkward than when I was recovering in the hospital from these burns, where even the most simplest of tasks I required help with. I now know that it can happen to me, because it already has. And it just isn't the burns, it's happened multiple times in my life. That I've come to realize that I have a new attitude. And that new attitude isn't it can't happen to me. It isn't it can happen to me. That new attitude is I won't let it happen to me. And what that attitude does is when I see an uncontrolled hazard, my gut's talking to me or somebody else shows me it, all I do is I take that uncontrolled hazard and I turn it into a controlled hazard. And by doing that, it has never once stopped me from doing anything I wanted to do or had to do. I just found better ways to do it. Now I hope you enjoyed today's Safety Minute. If you want more videos like this, go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. If you want to bring me out to your workplace so I can share some of my safety concepts with your workers, go ahead and book me for a presentation. And until the next Safety Minute, stay safe.